Have you ever noticed that we talk more about intelligence than ever before, yet people actually think less? We live in an age where information is everywhere, but wisdom has become rare. A world full of people with diplomas, opinions, and certainty, but few who truly question their own thoughts. The world is full of intelligent people, but almost no one thinks. Thinking is hard work. It requires pause, humility, and the courage to admit that maybe what you've believed for years could be wrong. And that scares people. It's more comfortable to repeat than to reflect. Easier to belong to a group than to stand in your own uncertainty. That's why so many choose rigidity, because thinking is risky. Thinking changes everything. We live as if trapped in a collective theater where everyone wears a mask of opinion. Everyone has something to say, but few have something to understand. Most people speak but don't listen. They assert but don't ponder. They attack but don't comprehend. It's like we're all caught in an endless echo of recycled ideas, where no one stops to ask, does this even make sense? But it's not just the world out there. This rigidity starts within us. Rigid thinking is like a dark room. You feel safe inside it, but you can't see a thing. And when someone turns on the light, when something challenges your belief, you get uncomfortable. You want the darkness back, because the light demands change. The truth is, we think less because we feel too much and understand too little. We are always reacting, to news, to people, to opinions. And confusing reaction with reflection is the greatest mistake of the modern mind. Thinking requires emotional distance. It demands that you step out of your own opinion and look at reality as if you were someone else. That's difficult, because the ego hates being questioned. How many times have you defended an idea, not because you truly believed in it, but because it was yours? How many times did you feel anger, not because someone was wrong, but because they confronted you? That's ego disguised as reasoning. It's pride pretending to be intelligence. It's the noise of the world drowning out the voice of conscience. And that's exactly where real thinking begins, when you realize your mind might not even be yours. It's the sum of everything you've heard, read, repeated, believed, without checking. It's the echo of the voices that shaped you, but that you never really chose. Most people live with borrowed thoughts and spend their lives defending ideas that were never born within them. They are echoes, from a teacher, an influencer, a book, a religion, a political party, a tradition. There's no shame in that. But there's danger in never questioning it. Thinking for yourself doesn't mean rejecting everything. It means running everything through the filter of awareness. It means looking at each belief and asking, is this truly mine, or just something I learned to repeat? And once you ask that question, something changes. The world begins to lose its black and white edges and gain shades of gray. You realize nothing is that simple, that every idea carries context, history, contradictions. And it's exactly there that rigid thought collapses, because rigidity can't survive complexity. Rigidity is the symptom of fear. Flexibility is the sign of maturity. A flexible mind doesn't mean agreeing with everything. It means understanding that truth is born from movement. The river is pure because it flows. Still water rots. It's the same with the mind. The more stagnant it becomes, the more contaminated it is with certainty. Why is it so hard to think flexibly? Because rigidity gives you identity. The rigid person always knows who they are, what they think, what they hate, and that feels safe. But a true thinker is always in motion, and when you're in motion, you inevitably lose your footing sometimes. And yet, it's in losing the ground beneath you that wisdom is born. When the familiar ground collapses, you discover how much more there is to learn. To truly think is to accept being a lifelong student. It's to doubt without despairing, to seek without needing to be right. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary, because in a world where everyone screams, the silence of those who reflect is almost subversive. Today, people confuse having an opinion with having thought. Opinion is a ready-made answer. Thinking is a living process. Opinion is what you repeat. Thinking is what you create. The difference is that opinion ends with a period, and thinking begins with a question mark. The inflexible mind wants to be right. The flexible mind wants to understand. One wants to win arguments. The other wants to see reality. One shrinks the world to fit its beliefs. The other expands its beliefs to fit the world. And the more polarized the world becomes, the rarer it is to find a mind that builds bridges. Today, being balanced feels almost like an offense. You're either on one side or the other, and those who stand in the middle are seen as weak. But maybe the truly brave are the ones who can stand in the discomfort of not belonging to any tribe. To be a thinker is to prefer truth over approval, and sometimes that means being alone. But that, alone, is powerful, because when the outer noise fades, your inner voice finally becomes audible. You begin to think without needing an audience. And that kind of silent thinking is the most dangerous of all, because it sets you free. And the world doesn't like free people. The world wants echoes, not reflection. It wants certainty, not curiosity. It wants followers, not thinkers. That's why maybe the most revolutionary act of our time is to think, to stop, to breathe, to look, to question. Thinking isn't an intellectual luxury, it's an act of humanity. It's what separates us from programming. Animals react. Humans reflect. But when you live only reacting to everything around you, without pause, without filter, without awareness, you stop being the author of your life and become a reflection of your surroundings. Think about how many decisions you make out of fear, impulse, or the need to belong. How often do you change your mind not because you reflected, but because your group did? That's not evolution. That's conditioning. A flexible mind doesn't seek to be on the right side. It seeks to understand the whole. Because once you see the whole, you realize the sides are just fragments, and a fragment can never contain the truth. That's why rigid thinking creates conflict, because it believes the world can fit into a single viewpoint. But reality is too vast to be contained in one belief. Life is paradoxical, and wisdom is the art of living with paradox without needing to destroy it. The true thinker doesn't try to eliminate the opposite. They learn from it. They don't shut down what challenges them. They expand through it. They don't fear contradiction. They turn it into a question. Maybe thinking is simply this. Stop defending what you believe and start investigating why you believe it. And once you understand the why, something inside you softens. Intellectual pride gives way to philosophical humility. You realize that knowing a lot is not the same as understanding, and being right isn't the same as being at peace. A flexible mind doesn't boast about what it knows. It marvels at what it still doesn't. The problem is, our world rewards speed, not depth. Quick answers have become the new symbol of intelligence. But intelligence isn't speed, it's depth. It's pause. It's the ability to see beneath the surface. Thinking takes time, and time is what we lack most. That's why we live surrounded by shallow answers and fragile certainties. Everyone wants to be right. Few want to be clear. Clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. It doesn't come from impulse. It comes from observation. And it's in that silence that true thought is born. When you allow yourself to think deeply, life transforms. Because conscious thinking changes how you feel, and how you feel changes how you act. And that's how the world changes, from the inside out. The world doesn't need more voices. It needs more awareness in the voices that already exist. Maybe the first step is to stop fighting to be right, and start striving to be lucid. Think for a second. How many wars, conflicts, and pains were born from minds that believed they were absolutely right? How much violence has been justified in the name of truth? Human history is the story of rigid minds trying to impose their vision on others. Mental flexibility isn't weakness, it's maturity. It's knowing that ideas are tools, not walls. That thinking isn't about winning debates, it's about understanding mystery. When you think with humility, the world becomes softer. People stop being enemies and start becoming mirrors. You stop wanting to convert others and start wanting to see what they see that you still can't. And that's where true wisdom is born, when thought stops being a weapon and becomes a bridge. Being flexible doesn't mean being indecisive. It means being whole. It means realizing you can change without betraying yourself. That evolving doesn't mean denying who you were. It means expanding who you are. Rigid thought lives on fear. Flexible thought lives on courage. And in the end, what truly separates us isn't how much we know, but how much we're able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Maybe the greatest proof of intelligence isn't being right, but being open. So if you've made it this far, maybe this is your sign. A reminder to think less like someone trying to win, and more like someone trying to understand. To listen before responding. To doubt before attacking. To realize that truth doesn't live in a speech, but in the silent space between two thoughts. If this message spoke to you, leave a like, comment what makes you reflect most about today's world, and subscribe to the channel. Because in the end, what truly transforms us isn't what we say, it's what we think.